Welcome to the RotoWire NFL DFS show. I'm Adam Zdroik, joined by Jack Burkart and Ryan Belongia. We're talking SB 58. That's right, SB 58. We got the Chiefs against the 49ers. If you're unfamiliar with us, no, you're probably familiar with Ryan. He's done a full season. I don't think you missed one NFL show this season, did you, Ryan?
What an Iron Man grinder.
Oh, I was here for them all. I did them all last year too.
Every article and every show.
Dedication, you know?
Dedication. Jack, you popped in here and there, but mainly me and Jack, we do a lot of the soccer content, but we do grind NFL as well. But this is a showdown. Super Bowl is showdown. So, Jack, how much, I guess for both of you guys here, I'll start with Jack. How much showdown do you play in NFL over the season?
Well, to learn the kind of person I am, I played a lot more when there were soccer satellites to win tickets for that I could just click that always overlaid. I started a new job this year, so I played a little bit less showdown. It's also super frustrating showdown sometimes. I mean, it doesn't help that I play in all these contests with like 100,000 entrants. Then I wonder why I don't win when I don't play the best plays and leave salary on the table and stuff like that. So I don't know, but it's a fun enough game, and especially with the Super Bowl, you know, it's the talk of town for 2 weeks. The thing about showdowns, it's not too easy just to buckle up and make a few lineups. It's nice and easy to make a few lineups you like, and I don't know. Hopefully, we can find some players who do well, so we can have a sweat, and maybe not like chop a first place prize with like 700 other lineups. I'd like to try to avoid that if possible.
Yeah, I listened back a little bit to last year, and it was just like, how do we be different here with 470 other entries, kind of a thing? How are we supposed to win this million? I'm pretty sure last season it was chopped in the Super Bowl. Can't remember exactly what happened, but Ryan, yeah, you usually do, the 10 game, 11, 12 game slate kind of thing. How much of showdown do you play throughout the season?
Yeah, I played pretty much every Monday and Thursday night showdown, all of the ones with a million up top. Usually put 10 to 20 lineups in those. I got crushed this year in showdown. I mean, crushed. A little bit like Jack.
You didn't play kickers.
I was going to say that. Yes, that is one. When kickers were going to be 40, 50%, yeah, I would just fade because, like Jack kind of said, you do want to avoid chops. And when I'm not 150 maxing, so yeah, I gotta make some fades like that. Even though I like kickers, but sometimes you're gonna fade them when they're massive chalk. And then we had this string where defense just smashed every showdown, it seemed like. I mean, and people were talking about it all season, and they became very chalky. We had a lot of bad games and bad quarterbacks and backup quarterbacks and low totals, and people are just jamming these defenses in, and I would full fade basically every time, and then they're scoring touchdowns every game, and I'm just dead. So yeah, I got crushed in showdown this year, but had some success in the past. I won the $3.20 max, I think 4 or 5 times. Never for a lot, just chopped for a few K, but still fun to play. And of course, for the Super Bowl, we got $1 million up top. I'm definitely going to play the main showdown, probably put like 50 or so lineups in, make some big fades, see how it goes. It's one of those where you just got to pick a couple, or if you're just playing a few lineups, just pick a script, forget about projections and all that other stuff. Like, how do you think the game is going to go? Look at ownership. Then after that, add a little game theory into it and make some lineups that fit your script.
There you go. Yeah, 50 lineups. We're going to build each of those 50 lineups on this show to help Ryan out in order for him to get that million. So we're going to do that. No, we're going to run through, maybe talk like 2 minutes on cash games for the Super Bowl. I don't know how exciting the cash game talk here with the showdown will be, but we'll talk a little bit about showdown. We'll talk a lot about GPPs and trying to win that million, trying to win these contests and seeing what it takes actually to win and not split with, 50 other people, because, you're going to be, if you play something, if you're going to play, I don't know, whoever, Connor McCaffrey, captain, you got to get different here and there. So we'll go there, and then we're going to have some bets here. We put together a single game parlay If you're into betting, that kind of thing. And I mean, it's a Super Bowl. So if you're not into betting, then I don't know. Maybe you shouldn't be listening to this show. I don't know. I mean, it's the Super Bowl. It feels like everyone who plays DFS, everyone who watches the Super Bowl takes part in betting in some kind of way, whether it's squares or whatever you want to do at your Super Bowl party. But we got a single game parlay. And then I tweeted out, I'm going to put together a single game parlay on the show just based off of your guys' thoughts. We'll see how that actually works out. I don't know how it's going to start, but I'm just going to base it off of your guys' projections for this game and see how we get there. So let's get started here. How about that? DFS ready? Ready to win some million.
Let's do it. Let's talk about the ever exciting. Before we win a million, we have to talk about how to turn like $10 into $18 and showdown head to head.
Let's start with that.
I thought cash was tough, so I wanted to, I think Jack is the the cash.
Jack is the cash shark over here.
Yeah.
I
was wondering if you ran the optimal, or what do you think? What do you think of cash? Yeah, for this slate.
Yeah, I was just looking at some projections around the industry, and I don't know. Christian McCaffrey is pretty expensive, and then there's a couple players who like project pretty well that are a little bit cheap, and that sort of tempts like optimizers that just punch in, whatever the mean projection is, the just average of all the outcomes. So you're seeing some stuff where like I think everyone is going to play Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey, and Rashee Rice. I think those three are going to be like the ubiquitous chalk, so you should start there. But there's like a little bit of negotiation about what goes on. I mean, you could spend up at another spot. So like Travis Kelce, he's a little bit over 10K, very close price to Brock Purdy. You could play all four of those guys, and then you'd have to punt twice or do something like that. Optimizers are spitting out some like Rashee Rice in the captain spots, which I'm really skeptical of when you have a player like Christian McCaffrey. I'm willing to ignore numbers in this spot. He's just got such an elite range of outcomes. He's going to get a huge bell cow workload, catches passes. I'm just not interested in getting cute at my captain spot with a guy who can, like Rashee Rice, who could just, get 8 DraftKings points, only get 12 DraftKings points. And McCaffrey, probably gets around 25, a good frequency. But it's a little bit tough because in those lineups with McCaffrey as a captain, you're also looking at playing like Justin Watson and the Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So you might be pretty weak at 2 flex spots, and like Rashee Rice captain lineups, they can afford a George Kittle who's a little bit more volatile, but someone who can sort of make up for any deficit that would come from Christian McCaffrey. I don't know, Ryan. I don't know what you think. I'm just not going to get cute with a Christian McCaffrey captain. He's going to get so much work. I think Kyle Shanahan's a bit of a coward, and he's going to want to run the offense directly through Christian McCaffrey. And with that type of workload, I'll just fill out the other spots. I'll find the value. That's what I think. What do you think, though?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. With regards to McCaffrey, I think Shanahan is a little bit conservative. I think he's going to lean on McCaffrey in this spot. I think he should too. I mean, it's his best chance to win. I think it's a great matchup for McCaffrey. It's the 49ers the best matchup for the 49ers in this game is running the ball. Chiefs have a great pass defense. So yeah, it's just a great spot for McCaffrey to, and the Rice thing, who do you captain is the first question, and 2,200 is how much you save if you captain Rice instead of McCaffrey. So I don't know. Like, I guess you got to consider that when you look at specific lineups. Like, can you use that 2,200 for something significant? I'm not sure. Like, maybe it would decide if you played Kelce or Pacheco. There's a $2,200 difference between those two, but I don't even know if can you fit them with Mahomes in there too. I guess you can fit one of them if you punt both. I don't know. It's weird for me to talk about. I've actually never played Showdown Cash in my life in NFL, so I'm trying to wrap my head around it kind of right now.
Here's how it's going to work. You're going to duplicate with just about everyone. There's going to be like, in the big double ups, there's going to be like 5 lineups. It's just going to be like massive trains passing each other. But with some small decisions to make, I think maybe there might be a couple edges, and maybe people who don't think about cash games a lot might just like throw in, a Rashee Rice captain. Just not sure that's really best in this spot when you have the CMC workload.
Who do you fade? fade
Who do you fade?
Kelsey, or can you fade? I don't know. I haven't
I
looked
think
at
you fade the
lineups.
quarterbacks.
You fade Pacheco? Are you like trying to play Noah Gray and Edwards-Helaire or something like that?
I think that's what you would end up doing. I would probably
Oof.
fade Purdy, and yeah, that's the tough part. But I mean, you just have to survive not having Purdy or Travis Kelsey in your lineup. I mean, that's a big decision, right? If you play like a Rice captain, it's really easy to do. Then I think Pacheco is a pretty good play though overall, like in cash games and in tournaments. Jerick McKinnon is very much like 5% to play. Like it seems like the blurbs do not expect McKinnon to play at all. And Clyde Edwards-Helaire stinks. So I think the workload's pretty good for Pacheco. I don't know, Ryan, what do you think of like the Pacheco workload?
Yeah,
Do you think it's a good
love
spot?
it. Love it. Yep. I think he's underpriced. I mean, he's going to get a ton of 28 touches last week. I mean, it could be the same this week, depending on how the game goes. The Chiefs' usage just funnels, and all these teams, the usage condenses come playoff time, and in the Super Bowl, that might be even more so. I mean, everything is to Rice, Kelsey, Pacheco. I mean, so yeah, he seems too cheap for this spot. Just in general, I would choose Chiefs over these other 49ers in cash games. I think that's at least, I mean, like Rice, obviously you mentioned is going to be chalk, but Rice projects better than Samuel and Ayuk, and he's over 1K cheaper. And then even Pacheco, like he's going to get a ton more usage than those other San Francisco guys. I don't think you play Purdy in cash. I guess the decision between Kelsey and Pacheco is tough. As someone who doesn't play cash, Jack, I would be very tempted to play Kelsey and Pacheco and not Mahomes. But I know that's like you just like can't do that because he's going to be a massive chalk. But yeah, I don't know. Like I really like both. I really like both Kelsey, and I think Kelsey has a tougher matchup. He's also more expensive. So you're saving $2,200 and you're going to get a guy who's going to get 5 touches. I don't know. I would want to play Pacheco in cash.
Yeah, and I think with Mahomes,
What does this lineup look like if you're captaining McCaffrey and playing Mahomes?
I can try to pull it up, but I can riff for a moment. I think like Mahomes, one thing that he's been doing in the playoffs a bit more is he like rushes a little bit more in the playoffs, and the Chiefs just throw so many times. So I don't know. I'm kind of just a sucker for just give me the workload every single time when you do something like that, and sort of hope that it works out. And then Adam, what was your question? If you're just jamming in McCaffrey and then you're playing like Mahomes and Rice, like
I just don't think you need to play Mahomes in cash games.
I think you just do because he throws so much. Like you kind of just want the options who are gonna touch the ball and who have like the most secure roles to fantasy points. I think in this sort of spot. I don't know if you want to play Mahomes, just play tournaments. I don't, like.
I just think it's like his name here. It's just like, okay, Patrick Mahomes. Like we have the history of Patrick Mahomes, but I mean, it's not like this season he's
the
even
game
had
log
these
is
massive,
incredible.
It's just not the same offense. I mean, they're not running the same stuff. That's why Pacheco's been turning up. I'd rather save 2,600. I think Pacheco. I mean, I'd rather captain Pacheco, but if you're going to captain McCaffrey, I'd rather play Pacheco than Mahomes. I don't know why you spend the extra 2,600 on Mahomes.
I mean, I think it's just a really elite range of outcomes, Adam. I mean, I think I just don't want to fade that spot. I feel like I'm gambling a little bit too much, and it's not the right spot in my lineup.
You are. This is DFS. You are gambling.
Well,
I would be worried because he's such massive chalk. But if you would take ownership out of it, and again, like I agree, then what you said is right. Like just fade him in tournaments. But I mean, look at his game log. He doesn't score over 15, 18, 18, 13, 17, 14, 14. I mean, he's scored over 21 fantasy points like once in the last like 10 games. And I is that too small of a sample? I mean, clearly it's not the same from a fantasy perspective, but I mean, they've been much better recently. I don't want to get too like caught up in just looking at these recent games, but like both Kelsey and Pacheco look like really good options, and you have to fade one to play Mahomes. So you're still, I get it. Like you're still going to be fading somebody that you're not happy about fading. I worry though that like you don't really want to fade like a 90%, 80% owned player. But man, just looking at his game log, I mean, it doesn't make me too excited to play him.
Jack, so just looking at something I just did here. So you're talking about the McCaffrey and Mahomes lineup, which you're probably, I don't know, going sub 5K for 3 positions. What if we captain Pacheco here? You got C-Mac, you got Kelsey, you got Rashee Rice. And for your final 2 spots, you got 8,200 left. Doesn't that seem like just a better cash move than just jamming, the 2 most expensive guys in?
I just wonder who you want to play in that case, right? So you have around 8,000 left. So I mean, then you could play George Kittle and Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And I mean, like, I think Kittle is like one of my favorite like GPP captain shouts. So that's really interesting. But for cash games, I just, Kittle sometimes just does nothing or he does a lot. So I just feel like that range of outcomes isn't appropriate. And then you go through, you have backup quarterbacks. If you want to maybe play like a couple kickers or a kicker in a defense, like, I don't know, that's not unreasonable to do. But I just don't think I just don't think I'm losing too much. I think a lot of people are going to punt with Clyde Edwards-Helaire, especially if Jerick McKinnon is ruled out. So I mean, that's a big news item. So if you're listening to this later, we don't know what absolutely is going to happen there. But if Clyde Edwards-Helaire is just the direct backup, he should see a small amount of carries. That's like a really easy value option. So I don't know. I feel like I can just find the value, and why not just play the bell cow running back who's going to be on the field for every single snap and has like a 25% target share on the season and a point per reception. I mean, there's the bonuses in DraftKings too. Like Christian McCaffrey is the most likely player to hit the bonus. So I just don't feel like fading it. I don't want a big brain this one, I guess. I mean, I understand that there are a lot of other options if you get cute at your captain, but I just feel like even if another one of those players does well, like a Rice, I feel like I can still beat that lineup because it's a little bit speculative. Like, how often does George Kittle score, 12 or more fantasy points? Like, those are the questions that I'm kind of wondering. If it works out and Kittle nukes, then it should be an easy cash. But you can also run into things where Kittle does really well, but Rashee Rice has 8 points, and you're kind of just screwed anyways because you can't keep up with the other captains. I just don't want to lose at the captain spot. I don't know.
I think that makes sense not to want to lose at the captain spot if you're not upgrading your lineup significantly. Like, yeah, Kittle seems kind of like a luxury, but I don't want to play CEH. I'm not playing CEH. No way. I don't know. I just don't see. No, even in cash, what does it get you? Like, I'm looking at lineups. Like, I don't know. I would play Noah Gray. I think
sure.
above CEH.
Okay, you can play CEH. You can play Noah Gray. I mean, hell, if you really had to, you could probably play like Kyle Juszczyk if you wanted to.
Again, I'm not used to thinking about NFL cash, so it's kind of difficult.
You're just jamming the 4 best plays, and then you're hoping Kyle Juszczyk gets 2 catches, or you're hoping that Clyde gets 4 fantasy points. It's just trying to jam the best pieces.
So then, who do you fade? Which chief do you fade?
I don't know. I haven't decided yet. It's not an easy decision. You'd click Kelsey and you're like, oh, now I don't have Pacheco. Then you click Pacheco and you're like, oh, now I don't have Kelsey. It's a little bit of a tricky.
Or you just captain Pacheco and then you don't have to worry about deciding.
Yeah, there you go. And then Christian McCaffrey scores 40 fantasy points, and then game over.
Well, not game over if you punted at 3 other positions.
I think
This is just an argument to play tournaments instead.
Yeah, this sucks.
we talk too much on this one. We talk too much on cash games.
These guys are arguing about Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Noah Gray.
All right, so Ryan, let's get to this million. How many? I was going to say I accidentally called Christian McCaffrey Connor McCaffrey. I wrote a college basketball article earlier today, so kind of messing up my McCaffrey names here. Shouts to the Iowa Hawkeyes. But how many captains, Christian McCaffrey captains, are you going to have? You have your 50 lineups, you said, in the main. He's going to be the most popular captain, probably. So how many of your lineups are going to be looking to McCaffrey and just trying to get different at your other 5 spots?
I think I'm going to be under on McCaffrey in the captain spot. For a couple of reasons. I don't love the punts that much, for one. Two, yeah, I think he'll be pretty popular in the captain spot, right? I mean, the most popular captain, I would assume. I guess I haven't looked at projections yet, or many projections. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's hard to make lineups that I like with him in the captain spot, and then when I do, I find myself wanting to use like chalk or cheap pieces that might be kind of chalky, and that like I don't know, like part of my strategy might be to kind of fade the whole lower range and make lineups that don't have McCaffrey captain so I can avoid it. I don't know, like just an initial thought, but I found it tough to make McCaffrey captain lineups, especially I guess I should say with the type of lineups that I want to make. First, you got to decide how the game's going to go, right? Like I see a comment from Ken, look at how many points in the Super Bowls. I assume he means maybe in what I was talking about with looking at Mahomes' game log and how it hasn't been great, but like in the Super Bowl, if this game's going to be 35-35, he's going to smash. And it could be like that, but I don't know. I kind of don't think it's going to be like that. You have two good defenses here. The Chiefs defense has been great, maybe the best in the league. Their games keep going under with low play volume. And, thinking about who I thought was going to win this game, the whole season I would have picked the Niners. The Chiefs just did not look good. But now come Super Bowl time, it really just asks two questions. Which team has the better defense? Which team has the better quarterback? For me, both of these answers are the Chiefs. Picked the Chiefs last year against the Eagles, and it worked out. I don't know. Like it just feels like, to me, it feels like a Chiefs spot. I kind of think they've found it at the right time. I think the Niners were fortunate to beat Green Bay, fortunate to beat Detroit a little bit. I don't know. You can only ride that luck for so long. I'm not sure that Purdy can carry them in this spot against a better defense than they've faced. So that's kind of going to be my take, and it's going to influence how I make lineups. I don't know. Like I'm kind of lost now, just rambling. But yeah, those are my initial.
I thought you were going to give us a spicy take. That take is all the NFL podcasts I listen to. That's everyone's take.
Is it? I mean, the Niners are still favored.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why, but the sharps are betting the 49ers, and the non-sharps are betting this. The Swifties are all betting the Chiefs. I guess is that how it's working out?
Maybe, I don't know.
Speaking of Swifties, shout out to Jack in the background there. Jack's got a nice little Swifty picture up there. So shouts to Taylor's crew.
Movie poster.
Shouts to the Poet Society, the unfortunate what's
oh, I don't know.
Jack, what's the album
Poet Society or something like this?
Tortured Poets. Shouts to the tortured poets out there. We know they're gonna be betting the Chiefs. Once they figure out what betting is, they're gonna be throwing down bets on the Chiefs in the next few days. So I'll just say in just a contrast Ryan, just in a general take here, 49ers lucky to be here, but I don't know how much that matters. How many times were Brady and the Patriots, lucky in some of these playoff games and games throughout their 6 Super Bowls? How many times is it like every time they made it the Super Bowl, it's like, yeah, well, they're kind of lucky to be here. Obviously, okay, it's at the end of the day, it's Brady and Belichick, but that was just my argument for what you're saying. But
I mean, the Chiefs are kind of lucky to be here too, right? I mean, I just mean like. I
mean, all season the Chiefs this was the down season for the Chiefs, and now they're here. So you're going. I mean,
if you're Brock Purdy, that's different in your head. You think about that differently in your head if you're Brock Purdy than if you're Tom Brady. Like whether we should be here tonight or not. How good have I been playing? How confident am I?
But how was Tom Brady feeling in his first Super Bowl?
Right. No, I like Brock Purdy too. I've liked the Niners. Like, kind of been picking the Niners to win the Super Bowl most of the season. so I do like the Niners too. It's a really tough game. It's a really tough game for DFS. It's a really tough game to make single game parlays for a lot of reasons. Like, I don't know, like maybe you guys can convince me or have a different take than me. Like, if I'm trying to make lineups where this game doesn't shoot out, and then it's tougher to make those lineups. But if you get a back and forth game with 30 plus points on both sides, then yeah, makes things easier. For the same goes for like parlays and, you know, going over on player props. You know, it all depends on how the game goes. I don't know. Like, look at unless the Niners get out to a lead and the Chiefs got to play catch up. Like, if it goes the other way, I don't know. It seems like it's just going to be one of those grinded out games like we just saw the last two from the Chiefs.
Before I shoot it over to Jack here, we got a special word from our sponsor, from Circa. Get ready for the ultimate big game parties at Circa Resort and Casino. Super Sunday is in Las Vegas this year. Watch the big game poolside at Stadium Swim's big game viewing party. Massive screen, booming game sound, and a view of the pyrotechnic and visual effects throughout the game. Snag the best seat in the sun with day beds, poolside boxes, cabanas, and more. Or touchdown at the world's largest sports book, Circa Sports, for the big game bash. 3 stories of football glory featuring a 78 million pixel screen. Book your seat with a variety of reservation options, including bottle service, open bar, stadium-style food, and more. Don't miss these legendary viewing experiences on February 11th. The big game party's only at Circa Resort and Casino. Reserve today at circalasvegas.com. You have four days here to reserve. So circalasvegas.com. Ryan, previously we talked about your 78 million pixel screen. Jack, how big of a screen do you have to watch the Super Bowl at your place?
I'm embarrassed to say I have like a 27-inch television that like my wife and I have been carrying around since we graduated undergrad. I don't know. I just have moved a lot. I've never like had the patience to like buy a TV. I feel like I need a PhD to buy a TV these days.
A 70-inch TV is like $300. TVs are actually the cheapest things ever. Please go buy one.
I have no idea. Well, I'll buy one after I win this 50-cent entry, 150 max later. But yeah, I feel like I
gotta
owe myself
think that
a TV.
TVs are on sale for the Super Bowl, right? Do you think they go up on sale because people know you got to buy
the
TVs
price goes
for
up
Super Bowl
because
parties?
People like me, we're scrambling to get a nice big screen. We got this thing called a projector in a box, so maybe I can throw that on there. We have a lot of wall space.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be fun. I don't know. I just watch stuff on my computer.
That'll do.
Oh, Adam, I have an important thing. I have an important announcement. My sister texted me and she said it's the Tortured Poets Department, and then said, "Come on, man." So
Tortured Poets
Department.
Department.
An important correction there. I'm sorry.
Thank you, sister.
She's disappointed.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get serious on this show, Jack. How many Clyde Edwards-Helaire captains are you going to have? You've touted him a few times in the show, so how many times are you going to captain him?
Well, no, and zero times. Come on. So like this is, cash games are.
Okay, you don't like him that much. All right.
No, I don't want to play a guy who's going to get that few touches. I mean, I understand the salary relief, but if one of these low price punts gets a lot of traffic, I just don't feel like playing that. I don't know. I'm willing to take more risks.
So what's the cheapest you're going to go? You're just going with the big boys.
No, just what about a couple of Kyle Juszczyk lineups for 800 if it makes sense. I mean, I haven't even just if you want a horrible punt. And then Noah Gray, like Ryan says, I think that's a little bit better. I'd prefer not to punt because there doesn't really look like any appealing options. Even like, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, Packers legend. I'm not so keen on him at 3K, although if he catches a 70-yard touchdown, I'll go cry about it. Play him a few times, but I'm kind of interested in the following tactics. So I was wondering, what's the route to fading Christian McCaffrey in the captain spot? I was kind of heading in. I was like, oh, I definitely want to captain CMC more than the field because I just think he has so many routes to scoring 35 points and just going ridiculous, even if he's the most expensive player. So that had me thinking. And so I looked through, I used RotoWire tools to do this. I used the team logs page and you can find DraftKings points. And so what I wanted to know is I looked at Deebo Samuel. I looked at George Kittle, and I looked at Brandon Ayuk. And the first thing I wanted to know is how many games did one of them score 25 or more DraftKings points? And in 17 regular season games, not including the last one, that happened 8 times. So half the times one of those three guys, one of those three wide receivers, put up a huge fantasy score. You want in a big field tournament, you probably want a captain who can put up a huge score. So that was pretty interesting. And then it was always the case that either one or zero of them scored over 25 points. So just like one of them. There's like sort of one of the wide receivers goes off. The others can do kind of well, but usually only one hits a ceiling. This makes sense. I mean, I don't think that's any surprise. Only one player can catch a touchdown pass and things like that. But I'm kind of just imagining making a lot of lineups where I just play one of those three wide receivers, mix them around in the captain spot, throw them in with Brock Purdy and Christian McCaffrey, and I have three 49ers. And I feel like people aren't going to be too keen to play Brock Purdy, but he can put up big fantasy points too, and maybe he gets a rushing touchdown. So I'm kind of rotating around those strategies, and I think that could be okay. And then I looked, well, how often does one of those guys go off and it doesn't matter because McCaffrey just went nuclear? But I mean, most of the time, at least one of those have outscored Christian McCaffrey. I wrote down that it happened 8 times this season that one of those three outscored CMC on DraftKings. And then 3 more times they're within 5 fantasy points. If you save enough salary, I think you can still beat those lineups. So I'm looking at rotating around, people, playing Purdy and then playing, Debo Samuel and playing, just one of Debo Samuel, one of Brandon Ayuk, one of George Kittle. Hopefully gets me on slightly different constructions. I don't know how many people want to play all three of those guys. And then you can just do whatever you want. I mean, like if you don't want to play Mahomes because of Ryan's good points about maybe people overplaying him and he doesn't really have too much of a projected floor, then you can just get creative. You can play Pacheco and a couple other pieces. And if you captain the right guy, especially George Kittle, I mean, what's George Kittle's DraftKings price? It's like 6,400, right? So at the captain spot, you're saving a lot of money. You can avoid punting that way. So I don't know. I think that's my kind of overarching strategy I'm going to play. I think I'm going to play that the 49ers do pretty well. Purdy does pretty well. McCaffrey's always going to do well. So I get probably 3 or 4 San Francisco guys in every lineup. I don't know how people are going to play it. I don't know. I'm not a showdown expert, but I feel like I can build a lot of good lineups that way, and I feel like they can win. So I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah,
Ryan?
no, I think that's good. A good strategy from you as just a way to get different. I don't think that will be the common move. So yeah, I really like that. I mean, it's completely or not completely. It's different than what I want to do. I mean, again, we're just whatever script you think the game is going to be. For me, you were asking about cheap. What was the cheapest you'd go? I think you said, Adam, or looking at some of these cheap guys. Or I mentioned that I didn't like the punts. So like starting with the Chiefs guys, like MVS is who I would like the best, just without ownership, but he's going to be the 4th most popular receiver on the slate. Now, I don't like that at all. Kind of makes me not want to play him that much, especially, might have to wait on some news, but it seems like Sky Moore got activated, so
Yes.
he might play now. Also, I've heard Kadarius Toney might play after his little Instagram live fiasco, but it just makes these
Justin
other
Ross
guys
gonna play?
sort of. I don't think so. I saw he played 3 snaps last week, but no, I would say no if Kadarius Toney and
Jack
Sky
said he's
Moore
going to
are back.
captain him. So,
but
I did not.
I just mean the Chiefs have. So, like, maybe you would say Richie James. Like, you could take a shot on Richie James, and I've seen people say that. And sure, you can. Like, if you look at the number, he played 21% of the snaps last week, 30 before that. Mecole Hardman didn't play. Mecole Hardman played 1 snap last week after, he almost cost them the game 2 weeks in a row. But I don't know. They have these guys back now. Sky Moore back now. Toney back now. And I already think that the targets are going to condense around Kelsey and Rice like they have been. So I don't see like that many opportunities there for these guys. Now, of course, they can take it just takes one at their price. So like that's the argument. 1 catch, 30 yards, touchdown. Like you're on the optimal lineup a lot of times. If CMC goes off, I mean, that's the construction. That's the punt that you need. So I might take a couple shots. But it's not going to be my main strategy. I kind of want to fade that range. try to captain somebody in the mid-range. And then if I do that, I can play like, the Chiefs defense is going to be kind of lower owned. I kind of like them at 3,400. Kickers are going to be a bit lower, I think lower owned than they are on most showdowns. They're a little bit more expensive. People just aren't getting there because they're punting. I think the kickers are interesting. I don't know. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking right now. I do kind of like Noah Gray for 1,800. I mean, he'll be relatively popular, but probably make a couple Noah Gray lineups. He's on the field all the time, and he's pretty good. I mean, he's been seeing like 3+ targets most games, so that's pretty good for 1,800. I don't know, Adam. What do you think?
Well, I was going to say the first try and differential $1 million lineup I had was, I just started with MVS with Valdez-Scantling in there, just aiming for the, the 70-yard touchdown kind of a thing, and going off there because, you can fill out that lineup pretty easily. Who's your preferred kicker? You prefer Butker over Moody, I assume, based off your Chiefs?
Yeah. But if I would it would be whoever. I will play both because I will make, just because I think the Chiefs are going to win, I still think it's going to be close. Like, if it's a 3-point game, either kicker could be viable. I will say, I just wanted to clarify, I will play some MVS though. Like, I know he's going to be chalk, but I think in a vacuum, he's the best of the Chiefs punt wide receivers. And like you said, he does have that upside to catch a long touchdown. I do think he's going to be on the field second most, like by a pretty wide margin probably. So yeah, I still will play some Valdez-Scantling because you don't want to be dead. You're sweating the game and he catches a touchdown in the first quarter. Or he catches a 40-yard pass in the first quarter or something. Like, you don't want that.
Yeah. So you're saying he's going to be chalk?
Jack has a kicker take.
Okay.
So I disagree because Kyle Shanahan is like a really conservative play caller. Like, he doesn't want to go for it on a lot of like fourth down spots where a lot more coaches are going for it. I think he's happier with close games. Like, he's obsessed with always getting the ball after halftime. I think which team is going to be more likely to be aggressive on fourth down? I think it's the Chiefs. So therefore I like Jake Moody a little bit more for like someone who just might, it's 4th and 2 and it's like a 51-yard field goal, and like Kyle Shanahan, he's just someone who screams, I'm going to take the points. Total vibes based analysis, but Shanahan's been a pretty conservative play caller. I think that's definitely true. Ryan's shaking his head, so I'm glad I'm not wrong.
Don't you think Andy Reid is also conservative?
I think he's a little bit more aggressive. I mean, he does some inventive stuff on the goal. I think he's more likely to go for it on fourth. I don't know. We could look this up, and maybe I'm just dead wrong.
20 fourth down attempts this season. They're near the bottom of the charts.
I see. If
I'm looking at correct numbers here.
Man, I wish this is embarrassing.
It's fine. It just means both kickers are good plays.
Yeah, I guess so. Then playing both. There you go. But I mean,
I agree with both of you guys, though. No, I agree with both of you guys. I think Shanahan is very conservative, but I agree with Adam in that Reid, compared to like all the other coaches in the league, probably is on the conservative side too. So yeah, I don't know. I like both kickers, but I would also think the Chiefs might be more likely to go for it in certain situations.
I think I actually prefer Butker. I think he's better for the moment than Moody. Moody missed a field goal last week, first off. I believe
I like that take.
If we pulled up like red zone percentages, I feel like the 49ers are also a better red zone team, better team at converting touchdowns. And again, that's probably why Mahomes is, numbers don't look as great as they have in previous season. And that's kind of why we look at Butker and Moody's numbers, and Butker has taken more field goals than Moody this season. So I'd probably, no matter what side you're on, I'd probably just lean a little more towards Butker personally. But, we're talking kickers here. So maybe Moody makes 4 50-yarders and we're just like, well, should have went with him instead.
Right. Just looking at the game log, I see Butker's made 15 in a row. If you look at the last 5 games where, as you mentioned, Moody missed one against Detroit. He missed one against Green Bay. He missed one against the Rams. Of course, none of that maybe matters, but yeah, I think Butker's the better kicker, more confident, obviously been there before.
Yeah, the last time he missed one was against the Las Vegas Raiders. Super Bowl in Las Vegas. Does that mean he's going to miss one? Maybe. I don't. Have you guys seen the 13 theory with Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce going around Twitter?
I saw it. It's a big case for Brock Purdy.
Right. So does this mean we captain Brock Purdy, and then obviously you put Kelce in that lineup? Is that what the move is? How do we take that for DFS purposes?
I don't know. I don't think you can give away too much edge on the show, Adam. I think go out and check it out, and might be a winner right there.
I like Jack's Purdy call because I think he'll be just lower owned than all these other guys. So what I would say to anyone listening is if you think the Niners are going to win, then Purdy's a really good DFS play just because he's just going to be leverage off a lot of these guys.
I will say, if you're looking for reasons to fade McCaffrey, I think we can look back at last season's show. Me and Jack did the Super Bowl DFS show. We were just like, the Eagles' advantage is their rushing offense. You can play all these running backs. It's fine if you play Gainwell kind of a thing because, the Chiefs rushing defense, all this. And Steve Spagnuolo just like destroyed that. The Eagles were, I don't know, they averaged 2 yards a carry or something ended up in the game. I don't know what the final numbers were, but so we have 2 weeks of Spagnuolo, Chiefs defensive coordinator here, and they know about, obviously, about McCaffrey, you know what the 49ers want to do. What if, Spagnuolo, what if he decides, let's actually just remove this running game. Let's take McCaffrey out of the game. Let's force Brock Purdy to beat us. So if you want to fade McCaffrey, go in with that strategy and look for other pieces. What Jack was kind of saying, he was going, okay, we can play some of these wide receivers. You can play Purdy, and maybe you can even fade McCaffrey. So if you want to take it from that, maybe Purdy's going to beat up on, Spagnuolo kind of a thing. Maybe not, but just as I know it is scary looking at McCaffrey's game log and fading him. But if you want a reason, there's a reason. Did I sell you guys, or am I too wish-washy here?
No, I think it's a perfectly fine way to play it.
You didn't need to sell me. Actually, I think it's a pretty good strategy. I might have, I don't know yet, but I could see maybe 20% of my lineups that might not having McCaffrey. Yeah, just I'm looking for ways to get different. I think if a lot of the punts fail, McCaffrey can score 18 fantasy points and not be on the winner like so many times just because of his price tag. I mean, really all it takes is Mahomes and Kelce outscoring him and one San Fran wide receiver. Imagine if Purdy does too. Like, it's possible is what I'm saying.
Imagine if Juszczyk does too.
Like, I'm not going to fade, probably not going to fade McCaffrey in like my higher stakes single entry stuff. But I think in the big tournaments, the $3 and the main $15 tournament, I think it is. Yeah, I think it's plenty viable to fade McCaffrey.
So Jack, you
oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, you're talking about your receivers. Do you have a favorite wide receiver that you're looking at more than others for the 49ers?
I do. Maybe we'll save it for I'll drop a little nugget when we reveal our team same game parlay. I was just looking at the chat after the Moody take, and it looks like a Steve in the chat says Moody stinks, and then Ken says, hope he says those prayers before Moody kicks. Ken, I will say my prayers before Moody kicks. Thank you very much.
That's funny.
I'm trying to build this live single game parlay, and you guys have opposite takes here, so it's kind of difficult. So Ryan's on the Chiefs. I'm gonna say Ryan's projection is Chiefs 24, 14 for the 49ers, and then Jack's projection, he hasn't said as much, but I'll take 49ers 27-21, something like that. Does that sound right for you guys, or am I off basis?
Yeah, it sounds right. Sounds like 27 sounds like a lot of field goals for Jake Moody. So
Yeah, that's about
Okay,
right.
16-13 49ers for Jack.
come on.
Yeah, I've got about 27-20. Some maybe a little closer. Maybe 24-20, 24-20 Chiefs, something like that.
Okay. All right. What have we not gone over here?
No, I'm not. Hold on. I'm not going to build all my
Rice
lineups. Wait, I'm not going to build all my lineups like that though, because like I do think
on
there's
this show.
no, but just in general, I think there's chances for this game to go different. It can go 30,
Yeah, I
31,
mean,
28. So like,
yeah,
I'm
like
not. It's
I
not like
shouldn't
I'm just
say.
gonna. I'm not gonna go all in on like, just because I think the Chiefs are gonna win in maybe a slightly lower scoring game. I'm gonna make plenty of lineups where it's gonna be a shootout or maybe the Niners win like that. But if I had one take, I think it's the Chiefs. So like maybe I'll focus on that for higher stake stuff, single entry stuff. But in the main GPP, I'll many different scripts.
Yeah, I will say you were leaning the Chiefs, but you also said this is an extremely difficult game to project. So I'll be nice to you here. Ken, our loyal listener here, Kenny G is saying 27-14 Chiefs. All right. So I think that was about what I gave for Ryan's projection. 27 points. The Chiefs have, if you look at their game logs, they haven't scored more than 27 points very often, or more than 24 points, really, for that matter. What have we missing in terms of DFS here before we get to our single game parlay? Is it worth it going with either of these defenses? Is it worth it going, okay, let's say Chiefs defense captain, let's get that Brock Purdy pick 6. You mentioned this is, his first Super Bowl, big moment for him. Let's get that Purdy pick 6. Let's get a couple interceptions. They're just causing havoc all game for him. Maybe they only score 10 points kind of thing, get the touchdown. Chiefs defense, either you guys looking at either the defenses or is that in your range of 50 lineups here?
Maybe I would ask Jack, is 12 points or like, what is enough points enough? Or, how many points is enough for either, let's say, the Chiefs D to be a viable captain or Valdez-Scantling at 3K? Like is how many points do they need to be a viable captain?
I'd have to shout out to Cody Main on Establish the Run, who's kind of done like a lot of research on this stuff. I think you want more than 12 points from a Valdez Scantling and that type of thing. I think like a lot of the research shows is that like you definitely want your captain to be able to score 20 points, even if they're cheap. And one thing about building with a really cheap captain that I think is worth considering, if whatever, if you're playing to have fun, who cares? But if you don't want to chop like with a bunch of people, playing with a really cheap captain, they won't be that owned, but everyone's just going to jam in the same studs. So you're still going to be like a lot of overlapping lineups there as well. I don't know. It's fine though. I mean,
okay, so
well,
yeah, no, I ask because as it relates to the Chiefs, like because maybe they don't have a 20-point ceiling, but maybe they can score you 12. I mean, of course they can score a touchdown, but are they gonna hold the Niners to few enough points to like? So I guess it relates to whether the Chiefs are viable at captain. I don't know, Adam. I hadn't necessarily considered that route yet because I wasn't sure if, like 12 points or something would be enough in the captain spot. What do you think?
I honestly think when I see people with defense captain, double defense in certain games, I think some of those people just want to see their name near the top of the leaderboard in the first quarter. And that's the only reason they do that. But I mean, I don't know. I'm not a defense showdown type of player. I'm a kicker showdown type of player is what I'll say. I mean, of course, it's going to depend on matchups. There's been Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football, whatever, where I play both kickers and both defenses. So this isn't one of those games, though. This is not going to be one of those games. Two of the best offenses in the league. At some point, it doesn't matter how good the defenses are. But who's our favorite captain? Jack, are you playing Purdy more than Mahomes?
Yeah, I think I'll play Purdy more than Mahomes. I think I'll play Purdy in most of my
Okay.
lineups. I think I'll have 3 49ers in all my lineups, just as a rule, to help me just like focus in on like one game strips. I'll rotate around the captains. Like I think I can have Pacheco lineups with, 3 San Francisco players. Purdy has to throw a little bit more or something like that. Like I think there's a lot of game scripts to play that sort of idea along with. So yeah, I think I'll do more Purdy than that. Who's my favorite captain though? I'm gonna go with I think this is gonna be a popular choice, but still a good one. Why not George Kittle? He's cheap. You can avoid the punt range. Sort of fits in the way that I'm dreaming up my lineups. And I don't know. I sort of like George Kittle. I think he's a funny guy. So, you'll get a good celebration out of him. Good to cheer for. I'm in this to have a little bit of fun as well. So, George Kittle, why not?
Okay.
I like Kittle captains.
I can see it. Do
I
we
like
need to
Kittle
buy you a
captains.
49ers sweatshirt, Jack? Or
Oh, I don't
You're
like
good
the
with
49ers
Packers.
at all. I actually hate the 49ers. Sorry to Scott Jenstead, right? He's a 49ers fan. I'm a salty Packers fan. I've been personally victimized by Kyle Shanahan many, many times. I once almost got into a fight with someone because of something that was happening at the Packers 49ers game. Like it's just bad vibes with the 49ers. So I would prefer they lose. But I think it's just a good spot for 49ers, and I don't know. I picked a strategy. I'm going to think about it and do my best with it, and hope the chips fall in my favor.
what kind of chips are you going to be having for your Super Bowl?
Red Doritos, easy. Next question.
Red Doritos. Wow. Wait.
Wow.
What, is that the super spicy ones?
No, just nacho
Red
cheese.
Doritos?
Yeah, nacho cheesy.
Just like the
nacho
standard
cheesy.
original Doritos. Wow.
Yeah.
What a take that is.
Yeah, what a take. It's the best flavor.
Wait,
I'm so mad. I'm gonna get so mad right now. This is unreal.
wait, you called them red Doritos.
That's what
Can
they
you
are.
clarify?
Because it's in a red bag.
I thought aren't they regular Doritos?
It's just okay. Like you call Doritos by what the color of the bag is, right? You're like, can I do the purple? Can I do the blue? Can I do the red? It's like Gatorade. Are you going to be like, oh, that's called a Mountain Ice Jack. That's not called blue. Like, no, you just call it what the color is.
Okay. All right.
Oh, man.
Ryan, any last DFS takes before we get to some betting here?
Yeah, I had a couple things, but now I'm just thinking about like Doritos and chips.
Doritos.
Takes. I don't know. Yeah, I like the mid-range captains. I think that's what we were talking about. I know he's going to be really popular. Just ownership aside, I think it's a good spot for Rashee Rice, like a really good spot for Rashee Rice, at least in comparison to the other players. I think he's too cheap. I know he's going to be popular, but I'm not going to fade Rice, so I'll have some Rice caps. And he's so much cheaper than McCaffrey that he lets you do a little bit more. But I like Jack's take with Kittle too for the same reason. I just prefer Rice just to score more fantasy points, just as a take. But I think Kittle will be less popular, so it makes a little more sense. I like Pacheco too, though. I mean, it's tough because these guys are going to be popular, obviously, but kind of everyone is. I mean, like, I guess who's not going to be popular in this sort of mid to expensive range? Ayuk? I don't really want to captain Ayuk, but I think haven't really talked about the game. I think it's a really tough matchup for Ayuk. I don't want to steal anybody's thunder. Maybe we'll get to that in a single game parlay.
Yeah, why don't you? I can talk about my leg of the parlay now, Adam, because I think Ryan just dropped a really good segue. I mean, I think it's worth maybe trying to sprinkle in a few Brandon Ayuk if you just want to be like super contrarian. I think one of the narratives is that the Chiefs have a really good defense going on. And again, I think I shouted him out earlier. Cody Main, I pulled the stat from his article that KC allowed the 4th fewest points on DraftKings to perimeter wide receivers, and that's where Ayuk is going to line up most of the time. So it objectively looks like a fairly bad matchup, and I think that aligns with the Chiefs' strengths being, at the perimeter of the defense. I think that's like a ball nowhere thing. So hopefully Ryan shakes his head that they have good cornerbacks. So I think it's going to be a good spot then for wide receivers who are going to like run through the middle and get yak. I think Shanahan can scheme anyone to get open. So if he wants to get Ayuk the ball, he could just move Ayuk around the formation. So that would be kind of a leverage play. But I sort of like Debo Samuel. I mean, if Ayuk can get played out of the game, maybe Kittle has to do a little bit more blocking. I mean, Debo is a total stud. It's very conceivable that, he can get, you know, 80, 90 yards on like 4 catches or something like that. Just one of these beast efficiency players. So I think this is a great spot for yak guys like Debo.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. Really tough spot for Ayuk in that L'Jarius Sneed has been amazing in the playoffs. Trent McDuffie to the Chiefs cornerbacks. I think Ayuk might have the toughest matchup of all the 49ers skill players. Yeah, I think they lean on Debo like they were going to against the Packers. He caught 2 passes right away, then he gets hurt. He's healthy now. Yeah, I mean, just piggybacking on what Jack said, it's the best matchup, and I think they're gonna, you can get Debo like easier targets than you can get Kittle and Ayuk. You can just get Debo those plenty of those quick targets. So yeah, I think it's a good take.
All right, if you're watching here on YouTube or Twitter, we have Ryan. You took Rashee Rice over 66.5 receiving yards. You kind of touched on this, but do you like Rice more than Kelsey in this game?
Man, that's a really tough question. I think Kelsey has the little bit tougher matchup, and I think while I'm not sure about this, like the reason, I thought about this a bunch and like which one of those guys I would choose to add to a parlay. Of course, they're both great options, but I thought maybe Rice would have the chance at like a 50-yarder, a better chance at a 50-yarder, I guess, than Kelsey. And again, I don't even know if that's necessarily true, but if you just, I think Kelsey's going to get shorter targets in this spot. And I know Rice has been getting a lot of short targets too, but I think he's just more likely to break a big one than Kelsey. And his prop was also like 5 yards less, I think. So the fact that he had the slightly better matchup, not even slightly, like the Niners have been great against tight ends this year. Great. And their 2 linebackers are great at covering. Warner and I forget the other guy's name, are great at covering tight ends. So yeah, I like Rice. I prefer the Rice prop a little bit more. He's just been getting so much usage, and I think that's going to continue. He didn't, if you game log watch, I guess you could say he failed in the last 2 games for like the first 2 times in a while, 46 yards and 47 yards. Those were weird games, both of them, in where the Chiefs didn't have many plays. Like the Bills had way more plays than the Chiefs, and so did the Ravens. And the Chiefs, like, they just marched down the field right away and scored, and then scored again, and then they kind of like sat on leads and gave the ball away once.
Sputtered.
So I think the numbers are a little bit deceiving. So yeah, I do like Rice. You guys made fun of my first prop I threw your way.
Actually, before we get further here, we have another special sponsor from FanDuel. Tackle millions in prizes all playoffs long in FanDuel fantasy contests. If you're new to fantasy, there's no better time to get in on the action, because right now new customers get a 100% deposit match up to $100. Playing fantasy for huge cash prizes on FanDuel is fun and exciting. Just draft your lineup and watch your team move up the leaderboard. Of course, that'll be as long as you captain Juszczyk, that's when you'll be moving up the leaderboard. Plus, on FanDuel, you can choose from full slate contests featuring multiple games, single game contests, season-long best ball contests, league contests, which are great for learning the ropes, and more. And when you win, you get paid instantly. So kick off football season with a 100% deposit match up to $100. Go to FanDuel.com to start playing for huge cash prizes today. And before Ryan gets to his secret parlay here, I'll just read this off. So I got Pacheco over 65.5 rushing yards. Jack has Debo over 70 receiving yards. Ryan has Rashee Rice over 66.5 receiving yards. That's plus 750 odds. And we'll get to this, but as a teaser, I put together a 650 to 1 parlay, and then a 1,500 to 1 parlay. But Ryan, what was your secret pick here?
Well, no, I just okay, and a few things first. These single game parlays are tough. I think for this Super Bowl especially. I think the lines are kind of juice for some of these guys, and also everybody wants to bet the over. Look, we're betting the over. Like whenever I try to make these parlays, I'm thinking about betting the over. So, like if you're somebody that wants to bet some unders, this might be like an okay spot to throw some of that stuff in. But I just don't want to do that. So like. Then there's the other part, like we chose yards for all of this stuff, and there's reception props too. And I'm not quite sure. I don't know if you guys have a take on, because the Debo reception prop is 4.5, and Rice and Kelsey's are at 6.5, and I never really know if it's better to look at those than the yards. I don't know if either of you have a thought on that.
I mean, just looking at it right now, I assume that we're going to get a movement in Kelsey receptions because I'm seeing like minus 160 on Kelsey over 6.5 kind of a thing. I mean, it just depends, like what you said with Kelsey. It's like, okay, I think he's going to get just, he's going to sit in this pocket and he's going to get a lot of short targets. So instead of, getting over 80 yards or something, why not just bet him to have 8 catches and maybe he only gets 60 yards kind of thing. So, or unless you think he breaks one, maybe go the other route. So
it's always hard for me because like I chose Rice, right, just for this parlay, and his prop is 6.5, and he had 8 receptions last week, so that does it easily, but only 40 some yards. So that fails. That would fail, I don't know. So I guess I wish I had a better take on that because I can never decide really. And it's tough for me to decide in this spot. I just went with the logic that you only need 1 catch to go over 66.5 yards in the best scenario. So why not?
There you go.
But yeah, I had a couple others. The one I gave you guys, and Jack just like laughed me out of the room as an unserious person. But so I had the Chiefs probably winning the game is what I was thinking. Adam, you had given me your Pacheco rush prop, which I liked, and Jack was on the Debo over. So you think the Chiefs got the lead. They're handing it to Pacheco. The Niners are going to be playing from behind. Brock Purdy dropping back. You have arguably the best left tackle in the league in Trent Williams protecting Purdy. But on the left side is star defensive end for the Chiefs, Furious George Karlaftis. First rounder out of Purdue. 1.5 sacks against Miami. 1.5 sacks against Lamar last week, I think. Just kind of a breakout season. And the fact that he doesn't have to deal with Trent Williams for the most part. Yeah, George Karlaftis to get a sack, I think, is plus 135. I kind of like adding that to some single game parlays just for, it's a nice little boost. You see a lot of these other ones for minus money. So I just kind of like that one at plus money. I'll throw some other ones out. The Eli Mitchell unders.
Guy.
Eli Mitchell unders are interesting to me. Maybe one of you guys have a thought on this, but his 1.5 carries, I kind of like the under 1.5 carries. I don't think he was going to get in the game last week. He didn't play against Green Bay, and I don't think he would have played last week if McCaffrey didn't land on his head. When McCaffrey landed on his head, it looked pretty bad, and McCaffrey got up and immediately signaled to the sideline that he needed to come out. I don't know if Mitchell would have played, and that would have been 2 straight DNPs for Mitchell. So I don't know that his rushing prop is 3.5, and his carries prop is 1.5. I'm considering those. Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Jack, what do you got?
If the Niners get a lead, obviously, you got to think of scripts when you think of all this stuff. The Niners with a 10-point lead, then you're probably dead. But
I'm gonna say the live single game parlay probably doesn't follow a script, so you guys will love it though. But Jack, you got any thoughts here before I get to that?
No, I think you should probably do same game parlays for fun. I think having 3 overs right here, I don't think this is the most, mega mind sharp thing that we've ever produced. But the key thing is it
I
will
just
be a
asked
lot of
you
fun.
guys this
It will be a lot of
morning.
fun to cheer for. So that is what I'm
Yeah.
going for here. And it'll feel good when
Yeah, I
we hit it.
mean, I asked these guys this morning for just a bet for a single game parlay that we can have on the show, and this is what we all did. So,
I mean, yeah,
we
I
didn't,
like some other. I like some other numbers too. Like I don't even necessarily like love Rice more than. I think this was -110. Like I like McCaffrey to go over. His prop was 34.5 receiving yards, but it's like -125. So I didn't want to give you it, but that's another one that I might throw in some single game parlays. I like Pacheco over 2.5 catches, but that one's also minus money. And I think that Juice was still going on that one. So yeah, like I threw that Rice one in there because it was better odds than the others, but it's not like I love.
All right,
that
here we
prop.
go. Everyone's been waiting 65 minutes for this big reveal. I had to put another graphic together here while you guys are talking. All right, I'll read through it here for the podcasters. Make sure to like and subscribe, thumbs up, all that good stuff. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, over 14.5 rushing yards. Christian McCaffrey, under 98.5 rushing yards. Under 47.5 points in the game. MVS, over 19.5 reception yards. MVS, touchdown. Use check, over 4.5 reception yards. 49ers, +7. Chiefs, +7. Those are both adjusted lines. George Kittle, touchdown. 650 to 1. That is plus 650,000. If you add under 60.5, you guys were giving this to me right when I was putting the graphic together, so I didn't put it in. But if you add Ayuk under 60.5 yards, you get to 100. You get to 150,000. Wait, am I reading this right?
You get more, right?
Yeah,
it's at 650,000 already.
All right, maybe it's only 65. I added a 0 here. I think this is only 65,000. If you add Ayuk under, that is 150,000. Okay, that must be it. Okay.
I don't know, Adam. I just look at this
guys...
and I just see like, there's no way this loses.
Man, I mean, CH over 14.5 rush yards looks like the toughest one of those to me.
This was the first thing Jack was talking. That was the first thing Jack mentioned on the show, so I had to throw it in. Actually, I might have. Sorry, it's rushing and receiving yards. That was a mistake on my graphic part. It's rushing and receiving yards. Is that
okay? We can get behind that. It only takes one screen pass.
Okay. So who loses this for us? Does anyone lose it?
If it is, it's rigged and just an injustice, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like seeing.
Not only are we betting, we're betting on a couple touchdowns here. We also have the under 47.5. I think that's why I added a nice little boost for us. Over on Clyde Edwards-Helaire and Kyle Juszczyk, but under on the points. That's how we do it here. You guys got anything else here? It's been a fun show talking about Super Bowl 58.
No, it's been a lot of fun. I'm just captivated by this parlay. It's just the perfect concoction. I don't know. I feel like I'm looking into the future right now.
I think we're gonna be rich after this hits.
I just remember you guys touting kicker. I remember you guys touting kicker captains last year. Are we in on that this year?
No.
I might get to Butker, but I might do it. No, I'll take it back. I always captain a kicker in showdown slates, so I will have a Butker captain. I'll say that.
Okay, good. I'm glad I brought it up then.
All right, let's get some final predictions here. I think, Ryan, what was your final one? 24-20? Is that what you said?
Something like that.
No thinking. Just say it. Just give us your shot.
Like
just give us your numbers. No thinking. What do you got?
Chiefs in the under.
Exact score. Come on. Give the people what they want.
Okay, 24-20.
All right. Jack, what do you got? You're muted. If you're talking, you are
Of course,
muted.
I'm
Jack.
muted. All right, I'm going to take the line that you gave. It's going to be San Francisco 27, Chiefs 21. It's going to be a late Mahomes comeback. It's going to seem inevitable when they're down 6 points, but there's just going to be a late interception. And it's going to be tragic. But yeah, Brock Purdy's
I
going to
will
take it
say
home for 49ers.
that's not going to allow our parlay to hit. So I don't know if you want to change your score. We
I'm
need to
hedging
hit
my
this parlay,
happiness a little
Jack.
bit.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Well,
I'm going to go a
refine it.
little. Okay. I'll go 49ers 23-20. That's what I'll say. I don't know. It just seems like everyone I'm listening to, it's all the Chiefs. They have the advantage at quarterback. They have the advantage at coach. They have all these advantages, and, the 49ers barely got here. They needed to come back in the second half of these games. So I like being contrarian in a lot of my betting. And, even though they're favorites, I still think it's kind of contrarian here at this point, picking 49ers to win. So that's what I'll say. But that's what we got for this special Super Bowl DFS show. We're going to be back next week to recap everything. It's going to be a 2-hour show recapping the showdown. And then we're actually going to preview the draft. We're going to give our mock draft 1 through 32. So that's going to be the following week. Me, Jack, and Ryan are going to be. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding here. It's late. It's 9:20. It's late. Too many jokes here. But you can find Ryan at Ryan Belongia on Twitter. Jack is at Jack Burkart. I am at Zdroik. If you want more DFS content, go to RotoWire Soccer. We still got like 3 months of DFS Premier League. So check that out. We have weekly content over there as well at RotoWire Soccer. Thank you for watching this. RotoWire.com/pod. Good luck on showdowns. Find us in the Discord. Show us your winnings. Show us your Clyde Edwards-Helaire winnings. Show us your MVS winnings, all that good stuff. Show us your winnings when you hit the single game parlay. Thank you, Jack. Thank you, Ryan. Enjoy your Super Bowls.
Good luck, everyone.
Thanks, guys. Good luck, everybody.